when I go to court, you better believe that every time I cross-examine someone on the other side that they are aware that I'm a trans person in my power. There's two things I want to say to trans young people. And the first is it is a scary time, and I'm so sorry. Nobody should have to grow up worrying that every politician is going to either say or do something so hurtful to you. So I don't in any way want to diminish the pain and hurt of this moment. And then I also want to say that we are a community of survivors, and that trans people have survived and collectivized in the face of so much governmental and societal repression for so long, and that we will always take care of each other.
Peace and blessings, you ugly mofos, and welcome to another episode of Heat Rants. I am your host, Felix Long Trousers.
That's it.
All right, let's not waste more time. Let's get right into this. For those of you guys who have been on my channel for quite some time, you guys know that I have gone by many names. Bigot, homophobic, ageist, misogynistic. That's a fan favorite. So you shouldn't be surprised on what we're talking about today. We're talking about the ALCU, which the ALCU, what's that? American Civil Liberties Union. I don't know why I said it's ACLU. ACLU. I don't know why I do that a lot. Listen, I haven't had my matcha tea this morning, and I feel like it's really been messing up my... For those of you guys who are unfamiliar who they are a nonprofit organization that pretty much sends out their resources, be that legal help, to individuals that they feel like their civil liberties have been taken away. I know that sounds so dumb, but if you guys don't like my explanation, my definition of what the hell they are, you could definitely go to Google. That's what Google's here for, right? Stop the video real quick, check out the definition, then come back. It's not that hard, all right? But the reason why I'm talking about them is because there seems to be a transgender individual, who I like to call a transformer, robots in disguise, right? That seems to want to advocate for children going through sex change operations, right? Because for some reason out there in America, beautiful America, people who aren't mentally deranged, apparently, believe that children, what they say they are at 2 years old is what they are in real life. So if a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or even a 5-year-old says that they believe that they are a unicorn, we should oblige. And it's just, did I say oblige? I meant to say accept. I told you guys I didn't take my matcha tea this morning. That's my fault. All right, I'm just all over the place, right? But we got to look at this guy who happened to get interviewed on CNN by the name of Chase Centrigo, who happens to be an openly transgender lawyer, right? Yes, I know, right? Openly transgender lawyer. Interesting stuff. They're just making everything openly as transgender. Centrigo. Let's see what he has to say. Or she. Decepticons.
I want to bring in the lawyer who's going to argue this high-profile case before the U.S. Supreme Court, Chase Strangio. Chase, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So the case comes at a time when 26 states have passed laws restricting healthcare treatments for transgender youth, according to a CNN analysis of data from the nonprofit think tank Movement Advancement Project. So how do you plan to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court in a case that could have wide-ranging implications beyond the state of Tennessee?
Well, thank you for having me, Jake. And obviously, this is a critical inflection point for transgender people across the country. We're coming off of an election season where transgender people played an outside role in people's consciousness in terms of the way in which we were situated as a threat to others. And when we look at the map of states that ban this type of evidence-based healthcare, we went from 0 states that had these bans in 2020 to now more than half the country. So before the court tomorrow,
First of all, the voice is crazy. the voice is crazy. I would have thought, oh wow, I saw this person on the street. I would not think this is a transformer robot in disguise. I would think this is just a regular individual. And then the moment they talk, I'd be like, okay, this guy is just gay. I would think that he's a transformer, son. This is really cosplaying, a woman cosplaying as a man. This is intriguing stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah, the reason why it's went from like a handful to half the country, because a lot of people woken up to realize this stuff is lunacy. This transgender stuff is a mental illness that we are trying to push out there to the masses like this is normal, right? And it's the only disorder we try to push out like it's normal. You know what I'm saying? That's a great thing. We never do that for schizophrenic people. I always use that as an example. Because schizophrenic people and transgender people, they have similar cases when it comes to unaliving. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people with mental conditions usually unalive. Depression, bipolar, all them joints. They all have similar traits, but transgender seems different from homosexuals. Even back in the day when homosexuality wasn't as accepted, right? It's interesting when you look at it, right? Which to me tells me that if transgenders seem to have the same unaliving, numbers as everybody else who has big mental issues like bipolar, the bipolar depression and all that schizophrenia, does that not tell you something that these people might not be? Let's keep going.
Tomorrow. The question is really a simple one as I see it. This is a law that bans medical treatment only when it is prescribed inconsistent with an individual's sex. Our argument is that treats people differently because of their sex, and therefore the court has to treat it like all other forms of sex discrimination, and that's why it's unconstitutional.
So attorneys representing the state of Tennessee told the U.S. Supreme Court, quote, if the government's theory holds, men who identify as women could claim constitutionally based access to women's bathrooms, women's locker rooms, and women's sports. Accepting that theory would perversely erode women's rights and jeopardize landmark statutes protecting women's equal access to schools, winners' podiums, and beyond. What's your response to that?
Well, I obviously disagree with that premise that allowing transgender women into women's sports or women's bathroom is a threat to women, but it is also not the question before the court in this case. And in fact, it is a totally independent question about whether a law that bans medical care for transgender adolescents discriminates against people based on sex versus these separate cases that preceded any of these healthcare bans will continue to be litigated in the courts regardless of the outcome here. So that clearly is conflating a bunch of different questions. The question before the court tomorrow is about whether banning medical care, overriding the consent of parents, the recommendations of doctors is a violation of equal protection.
What do you say to physicians who are sensitive and supportive of trans kids, obviously don't want suicidal ideation, et cetera, but wonder if there is enough data as of now to prove that it is beneficial to allow these sort of treatments before the age of 18?
So I would say three things. And the first is we have decades of both clinical experience and research data showing that this is medical treatment that provides critical benefits to adolescents who.
That's not true. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. A lot of these, they don't tell you, there's a whole movement called the detransition movement, right? A lot of these people who decided to transition at a younger age realized as they got older, you know what, man, maybe I wasn't really trans. Maybe I might have been gay, or maybe I was just going through a point in my life that I just was confused about certain things, right? So I just assumed that maybe I was trapped in the wrong body. There's a lot of people coming out saying that, right? And even the studies or even selective studies that they're speaking about that show like, oh, it's beneficial. There's a lot of people that ended up transitioning and then still unaliving themselves. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of people say, oh, the reason why they unalive themselves is because society is not accepting them after they have transitioned. And the thing is, that's honestly not true, because if your argument is by you transitioning, it's going to lower down the rate of, you know what I'm saying? Should that mean that they wouldn't, even regardless of society acceptance? Because like I said, like I made this example earlier, gays weren't accepted in society for a long period of time, but their unaliving rate was not like how transgenders are. You know what I'm saying? So you're telling me that, oh, okay, this is going to lower the rate, and it's not really necessarily lowering the rate. In fact, you could make an argument, well, let me not say that. Let me not say that, all right? This guy's nuts. This guy, this woman, this transformer, they're trying to make more transformers. Or, since they're going after the youth, they're trying to make mini bots. You know what I'm saying? Mini bots. Because the transformers are going to get old. We need more mini bots to evolve. Let's keep going.
who need it. And so this is not new. This is not new medication. And so we have that information. We have long-term studies that track people for 5-6 years. The Supreme Court this week heard arguments in an FDA case in which the FDA referred to long-term as being 6 months of follow-up. Here we have years of follow-up. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is nobody has to provide this medication to adolescents. These are not doctors being forced to provide this medication. These are doctors who are wanting to treat their patients in the best way that they know how based on the best available evidence to us. And these are young people who may have known since they were 2 years old exactly who they are, who suffered for 6-7 years before they had any relief. And what's happening here, it's not the kids who are consenting to this treatment, it's the parents who are consenting to the treatment. And as a parent, I would say when our children are suffering, we are suffering. And these are parents who love their children, who are listening to the advice of their doctors, of the mainstream medical community, and doing what's right for their kids. And the state of Tennessee has displaced their judgment.
Earlier this year, England's National Health Service stopped prescribing puberty blockers for children with gender dysphoria, claiming that there's, quote, not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness. It does seem as though, whereas Europe used to be more progressive on these issues.
Wait, hold on. First, Europe did that because they realized like this stuff is lunacy. Like, what the hell were we really thinking, right? I think a lot of people during the little pandemic, right before the pandemic, I think around like maybe even like 2017-ish, around the Me Too era, I think people just started getting real sensitive. People started getting really cuckoo, and they were trying to find things to gripe about and accept at the same time. This is one of those things, right? The mere fact that they're actually telling some of these kids, don't let your parents know, right? If your parents are trying to stop you, don't let them go. Let's go to the medical provider and see if there's a way that you can get it done without your parents' consent and stuff like that. This person is trying to play on the heartstring on idiots, right? Trying to play on the heartstring on idiots, trying to say like, listen, we want to help our children. I don't know if this person can even have children, right? Because they got a fake peen. They got a fake peen if they had the bottom surgery. I'm not sure. So I want to know, like, and if she went all the way, that means she lost her fallopian tubes and everything. She can't even have kids unless she stores some eggs on the side just for. I don't know. The whole thing is just wonky, right? But you're trying to take the opinion of children. She's as much as 2 years old. What is a 2 year? Some 2-year-olds can't even really fully talk well. That's the person that knows what a boy and a girl is. I don't even think I had my awareness available at 2 years old. I don't even think when they say they make the joke, it's like you don't even know where you are until you're like 5. One day you just wake up, you're playing with your toys at 5 years old. Like, oh, wait a minute. I am who I am. I'm a human being. Like, you know what I'm saying? These people are nuts. This is what happens when you give crazies a voice, right? And then you allow them to keep pushing stuff, and then you try to be the nice person, accept what they're saying, because they're like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy to tell them that what they're saying is bullshit. You're trying to be great. You're trying to be out there like, I'm going to be looked at as a good person by accepting this. No, you're allowing stupidity to continue to reign supreme. This person, regardless if they're a lawyer or not, they're idiots. They are complete idiots, and they want to push their mental stupid ideology to everybody else. Let's keep going. This video's almost done.
Issues, they're dialing it back now.
I don't totally agree with that premise. There's a subset of European countries that are imposing some guardrails on the prescription of the care, and the puberty blockers pause is temporary. And of course, there's no comparable restriction on restrictions for hormone therapy for transgender adolescents in the UK. But all of these countries that have taken a look at care in Europe and have put in some caution have not done two things that Tennessee has done. Stripped adolescents of the care that they are receiving, and that is something that Tennessee has done through SB 1. And the second is provide no clinical pathway for people to receive the care.
And they should keep it that way. They should definitely keep it that way. I don't think anybody needs this care. I'm going to just be honest with you. Some people might see this and be like, Felix, you're a hateful bigot. And, thank you. Thank you for calling me that. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for calling me that, I guess. All the name calls you guys want to do, go ahead, do it. You know what I'm saying? I accept it. You feel me? Like, I don't understand. We're living in Looney Tunes world, right? I'm not, and I'm going to bring the example back to schizophrenia. If a schizophrenic person told me that they see the Lucky Charms leprechaun over is it Lucky Charms? It's Lucky Charms. Yeah, the Lucky Charm leprechaun over there wrestling with the crispy, the Rice Krispie treat freaking L's or whatever, or the Pillsbury L's, or what are the Rice Krispie people? Let's say a whole bunch of like cartoony food people was fighting and having a brawl, and they say go over there and stop them from fighting and stuff. Like what do you expect? And there's nothing there. What do you expect me to do? You expect me to be like, yeah, I see those. I'm going to help those people. I'm going to try to break up the brawl because there's clearly a brawl there. It's not an empty meadow with nobody there. It's actually a real brawl of Rice Krispie treat people and Keebler elves and the Lucky Charms leprechaun fighting each other. Like, come on, man. I'm not doing that, son. So you're not gonna gaslight me and make me believe that you were born something else because you had a few different. This is frustrating. It's just frustrating because they're trying to put this in the kids. They're trying to push the ideology at a young age before these kids even go to puberty, right? They can't. You're setting them up so they can't even have children in the future, right? It's scary because the evil part, like the evil part of me, is like we should allow this to happen to a certain extent, right? Because if it was to happen, it would stop the ideology right there in its tracks because those people will not be able to reproduce. But me, I just can't. I can't allow it to happen because these children, they're children, right? It's children. Like if you're an adult and you do it, I'm okay with it to a certain extent because I'm like, like I said, the ideology ends there. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to spew this. The only thing I would say, these people should not be allowed to be teachers in schools because they will somehow slip that ideology in there. But if you're an adult and you do it, boom, right there, you just pretty much stop yourself from having babies. It stops here, all right? But the kids, they don't even have a chance to grow up and, possibly have children. So that's the part of me that's just like, we can't allow this to happen. We can't allow these people to brain rot these children at a young age. I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of kids in Gen Z that's going to get older and realize the ones that thought they were trapped in somebody else's body, they're going to get older and realize, like, my goodness, I have been hoodwinked and put in the trick bag. You know what I'm saying? And I just hope that they find this out before they go to the surgery and the real hormonal route. Hopefully right now, if they are, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully it's right now is just, let's say it's what's the word that they use? If you socially transition, but you haven't gone fully all the way, right? Get these men out of women bathrooms, all this other stuff. Like this trans stuff just gotta stop, man. We just gotta stop it altogether. And I think everybody who says they're trans, we gotta put them in a clinic and try to figure out, like, okay, what can we do? We gotta put you into therapy. You can still be out there living regular lives, but we gotta have like some type of therapy session, right? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just all the names that I said earlier on in this video. Maybe I'm just all that, right? Maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Let me know. Go into the comments below. I'll be happy to have a debate with you. That's all I got to say. Peace and blessings, you ugly mofos. And I'm out.